They say a small nation cannot rule the skies. They were wrong. And Ibrahim Traoré proved it, not with speeches, but with the whine of engines and the cold glare of steel eyes. In the Sahel, where sand and blood mix, the weak bow their heads. But Burkina Faso has raised its heads, turned the skies into fortresses, and turned each iron bird into an oath. No one will ever cross this border again without paying the price. The secrets of Traoré's new air strategy have never been revealed, until today. And when you hear the full story, you'll understand why Western powers are starting to worry. If you believe this power deserves to be known, like, comment, and subscribe, so this story never gets buried. On August 5, 2025, the African Defense Review reported, Burkina Faso now has the most advanced indigenous UAV fleet in West Africa. Capable of 24/7 surveillance and precision strikes at ranges of more than 500 kilometers. The article also noted that newly built air bases at Kaya, Dori, and Gawa have enabled the Air Force to respond to any threat within 2 hours. An unnamed official revealed, this is no longer an army that depends on aid. This is a force that knows how to stand on its own. But what the world sees is just the surface. Because behind the airport lights and patrol flights lies a bold strategy, designed to make Burkina Faso the strongest air force in Africa. Some days, the skies above the Sahel are more than just a blue backdrop, they are a giant mirror. Reflecting the truth that whoever controls the skies rewrites the fate of the land. And on an April morning, as the sun was just breaking through Burkina Faso's northern border, those skies belonged to Traoré. Not because he had more money than other countries. Not because he had Western aid. But because he saw what his predecessors never dreamed of, turning air power into the ultimate shield for a small country. Against both rebels and foreign powers. When the first Faso-I UAV took off from Kaya base, it carried more than just infrared cameras and an automated guidance system. It carried the message, from now on, there will be no more gray areas on our maps. To understand why this strategy is so dramatic, one must go back to the years when Burkina Faso was considered the security gap of the Sahel. The rebels moved freely along the cross-border trails. They did not need to attack en masse, they just needed to strike quickly, withdraw, and disappear into the jungle or desert. By the time the army responded, they were dozens of kilometers away. Neighboring countries, with more powerful air forces, sometimes helped, but the aid always came with conditions. Buy their weapons. Let them control their intelligence. Political concessions. For Traoré, this was a path to losing sovereignty. He once said bluntly in a closed-door meeting, whoever holds your eye, he will lead you wherever he wants. I will not let Burkina Faso's eye be in someone else's hands. Instead of chasing expensive fighter jet contracts from France or the United States, Traoré focused on something less obvious, homegrown drones. He assembled a team of young engineers, many of them from local universities, combined with combat-experienced veterans. They were given complete control to design, test, and produce UAVs adapted to the terrain, climate, and specifics of warfare in the Sahel. The result was the Faso-I light. Fast, durable, flying low enough to avoid radar, but high enough to cover hundreds of kilometers. They can detect suspicious movements at night. Track vehicles hidden in the forest. Assist artillery and infantry in identifying targets with an accuracy of less than 50 centimeters. At a cost of only 1/20th that of imported UAVs, Burkina Faso not only saves money but also keeps its data absolutely secret. No more satellite traffic to be monitored, no more information to be shared. But technology cannot survive without infrastructure. Traoré understood this, so in parallel with the construction of UAVs, he ordered the upgrading of 3 key air bases, Kaya, Dori, and Gawa. They are located in positions that allow the fastest response to hot spots. Kaya in the central north, monitoring the borders of Mali and Niger. Dori in the northeast, cutting off rebel routes from Libya. Gawa in the southwest, securing the trade corridor to Ivory Coast and Ghana. Each base has fuel depots, maintenance workshops, UAV control stations, ground radar systems and even helipads. Importantly, all maintenance and operations are carried out by Burkina Faso technicians, not relying on foreign experts. Traoré once said, "The sharpest weapon is not steel, but the mind that controls steel." That's why he founded the Ouagadougou Air Force Academy, a selection based not only on physical strength, but also on thinking and tactical adaptability. Students are trained to fly UAVs in extreme weather conditions, analyze intelligence data to predict rebel movements, coordinate multi-layered attacks between the Air Force and the ground force. A mentorship program pairs veteran officers with new recruits, turning battlefield experience into a shared asset for the force. The result is a team that is not only good at operating machines, but also knows why they fight, and for whom. In September 2024, FASO-I enters combat for the first time. A group of rebels plans to attack the village of Bolsa. The UAVs detected them 60 kilometers away, guiding a mobile unit to intercept them right at the edge of the village. No civilian casualties. No need to destroy infrastructure. A month later, the Dori base coordinated UAVs and artillery to destroy a secret rebel training camp in the desert. Just 18 minutes after receiving the intelligence. Regional military experts call this the Golden Response Model: fast, accurate, autonomous. These successes have not only shaken the rebels, but also worried international observers. Western defense corporations are losing contracts. Northern intelligence agencies no longer have access to Burkina Faso airspace data. At a closed-door conference in Accra, a French official admitted, "If this model spreads to other countries, our influence in the Sahel will collapse." Traoré knows he is walking a tightrope. But he takes the risk, because for him, freedom never comes from the approval of others. If you believe that a small nation has the right to defend its skies, if you believe that autonomy is the foundation of peace, leave your thoughts. Your voice, wherever you are, can be part of this fight, a silent, but fierce, fight to protect the right of an entire continent to hold its head high. From here, the story takes a more tense turn, counterplots from both within and without, as the world begins to realize that Burkina Faso has become an air power it cannot control. When a weak nation suddenly becomes strong, the world does not applaud. The world watches. And when a small nation controls the skies, those who once ruled it begin to plot to regain power, at any cost. In the early days of 2025, Burkina Faso was still intoxicated by the triumph of its precision UAV campaigns. But in dark offices in Paris, Washington, and even in a few unmarked buildings in neighboring African capitals, the cold conversations began. If Traoré continues, this model will spread across the continent. We will lose markets, influence, and power. The first pressure came in the form of soft diplomacy. Embassies repeatedly offered counter-terrorism cooperation in exchange for access to UAV data and a military presence. Traoré rejected all of them. He simply replied, "Burkina Faso does not sell the sky." When the handshakes failed, the covert attacks began. A shipment of UAV components ordered from an Asian company was suddenly blocked at a port, for no apparent reason. A group of young engineers in the FASO-I project received an anonymous email promising full scholarships in Europe if they shared their knowledge for joint research. At the same time, articles began appearing in some international media channels describing Traoré as a populist leader, military recklessness, and warning of the risk of Burkina Faso engaging in an arms race in the Sahel. Not everyone in the ranks was able to resist temptation or pressure. Some veteran officers, accustomed to receiving foreign aid, were dissatisfied with the heavy reallocation of the defense budget to the Air Force. They complained, "We need more armored vehicles, not flying toys." Traoré knew it, his opposition was not just tactical. There were hidden lines of interest that were severed when he closed previously opaque procurement contracts. This division became a golden opportunity for outside forces. Rumors of misconduct in the UAV project leaked out, without evidence. A small fire at the Kaya base fuel depot was blown up into a serious technical problem on social media. But if his enemies thought he would react rashly, they were wrong. Traoré organized an operation codenamed Sky Shield: Internal audits, all technicians, officers, and logistics personnel were screened for background and financial status. Those who showed signs of receiving illicit money were immediately transferred or suspended. Technological security: UAV data is encrypted at 3 levels, servers are located in separate underground bunkers, not directly connected to the international internet. Counter-media: the Ministry of Defense publicly released UAV videos recording the anti-insurgency campaign, demonstrating the effectiveness and necessity of this strategy. The goal is not only to protect the project, but also to send a clear message. This sky is not a commodity. Whoever touches it will pay the price. In March 2025, a group of rebels with unusual equipment, brand new shoulder-fired anti-aircraft guns, suddenly appeared near the eastern border. Intelligence showed that this weapon had never been in their possession before. They did not buy this themselves, an officer reported. Someone is helping. This was the biggest test of the entire new Air Force doctrine. 3 Faso UAVs immediately took off from the Dori base. After just 14 minutes, they discovered the rebels setting up a makeshift camp, just 8 kilometers from the nearest village. Traoré ordered an immediate airstrike, joined by ground forces to surround it. The fighting was over in 40 minutes. There were no civilian casualties. But then, in the rubble, the soldiers found a terrifying clue: the serial number of the anti-aircraft gun matched a shipment that had been exported from a European country. A few days later, Traoré appeared on national television. Without giving a lengthy speech, he said just one sentence: "We know who is arming our enemies. And we will act." This was not just a warning to the rebels, but also a direct blow to the hands hidden in the dark. From that day on, the skies over Burkina Faso were not only forbidden to intruders, they became a mirror exposing the forces behind the war. If you believe that truth should not be buried, if you believe that every nation, no matter how small, has the right to defend its skies, share this story. Because every time it is told, those who would erase it will be a little more silent. But just when Burkina Faso thought it had taken full control of its airspace, a new variable emerged. It did not come in the form of rebels, nor did it fly in from foreign bases. It came from a deeper, more dangerous place, the human heart, when power and autonomy begin to change the established order. The most dangerous thing is not the enemy in front of you. The most dangerous thing is the darkness that creeps into your own ranks. And in the history of nations, there has never been a power that did not leave room for ambition and betrayal. After the victory on its eastern border, Burkina Faso was celebrated across the continent. But then, small cracks began to open up within the organization, silently, persistently, and more dangerously than any airstrike. As defense spending shifted to the Air Force, lucrative contracts began to appear, from UAV parts to runway expansions to software development. Some young officers who had only known how to do their jobs suddenly found themselves signing off on millions of dollars in cash. Not everyone was able to resist the temptation. In a closed-door meeting, a close advisor to Traoré warned, "We are winning on the battlefield, but we could lose on paper." An internal investigation discovered that a group of technicians had secretly sold UAV configuration information to a research partner abroad in exchange for the promise of settlement. They were immediately arrested, but the incident shocked the entire force. The enemy did not miss the opportunity. On social media, anonymous accounts spread, "The Faso Air Force is corrupt, UAVs have technical problems, Traoré hides failures." These smear campaigns spread quickly, especially targeting urban youth, those who have little direct experience with the results of border operations. When trust is shaken, everything becomes fragile. Traoré understood: if the people lose trust, the sky will fall, even if it is still full of UAVs. He launched the People's Sky campaign. Transparency: every airstrike campaign is announced with the time, target, and results, with photographic evidence. Community engagement: UAVs are used to support flood relief, deliver medicine to remote areas, and monitor deforestation. Educating the next generation: technical schools offer UAV piloting classes to students, turning military technology into a source of national pride. Images of a Faso UAV carrying a medicine crate landing in the farthest village in Tapoa province went viral. A 12-year-old boy watched the UAV fly away and told a reporter, "Before, we only saw planes from other countries. Now, they are our planes." In June 2025, Burkina Faso's radar system detected an unknown UAV intruding from the northwest, moving in a deviation pattern, a tactic only technologically advanced countries use. 2 Faso UAVs were dispatched to intercept the target, but it disappeared before it could reach it. Just 3 days later, a series of articles appeared, accusing Burkina Faso of testing UAVs that endanger civil aviation. Traoré understood this as a coordinated operation. The enemy tried to infiltrate to force Faso to react, then distorted the information to attack its credibility. He called an emergency meeting. They want us to doubt ourselves. Don't fall for it. The counter-strategy this time was silent combat. Faso UAVs secretly followed the flight path of the unknown UAV, recording its entire journey and its origin. Evidence showed that it had taken off from a base in a neighboring country, funded by a country outside Africa. This story has never been widely reported. But if you're reading this, you already know that air power is not just about engines or firepower, it's about the ability to identify and disrupt any covert game. Let's share so that more people know that. In this world, independence is not a gift, but something that must be protected every day. As the plan to counterattack the foreign invaders progresses, Traoré receives bad news. One of his most trusted people, a high-ranking officer who fought alongside him from the very beginning, is suspected of being a link in the chain that leaks strategic information. It's not just a betrayal. If the news is true, the entire sky defense system may have been unlocked, from the inside. A betrayal from afar can be prevented. A betrayal from within, no one is prepared. When the investigation file is placed before Traoré, the room suddenly turns cold. The name on the cover is not just an officer. It is a brother-in-arms, who survived the Kaya 2023 battle with him. Who vowed to protect the skies of Faso until his last breath. It all started with an unusual data transmission, originating from a computer in the high-level operations room. At first, the cybersecurity team thought it was a system error. But when they looked closely, they discovered that encrypted data was being sent out at fixed times, right after strategy meetings. When they traced the signal back, the endpoint led to a server located in the capital of the country that had just been found to be sponsoring the UAV intrusion. The evidence was overwhelming. But what made Traoré hesitate was not the evidence, but the question, why? During a closed-door interrogation, the officer did not deny it. I did not betray Faso, he said. His voice hoarse. I betrayed you. He said he had been promised a leadership position when the Air Force doctrine succeeded. But when Traoré chose someone else because he was a better fit, his disappointment turned to hatred. The outside forces had only to light the fuse, promising him the power and recognition he craved. Traoré was silent. He knew that this was not just the story of a weak man, but a testament to the eternal law. When power shifts, enemies are not just outside, they can grow from the seeds we sow. The military council recommended immediate execution as a deterrent. But Traoré refused. We do not kill out of anger. We punish to protect the future. He ordered indefinite detention and made the incident public, making it a lesson for the entire army. At the same time, he initiated Operation Iron Wing, a review of all security procedures, cutting off any possibility of data leaks at any level. 3 days after the betrayal was exposed, national radar picked up unidentified flying objects approaching from 3 directions, east, west, and south. This time, they were not rebels. Not a single UAV. This was a coordinated attack, calculated to hit all the main bases at once. Traoré looked at the tactical map, the red dots flashing repeatedly. He knew. The decisive battle for the skies over Faso had begun. The skies over Faso were clear again. The smoke trails had cleared, but the echoes of the battle still smoldered in the hearts of every soldier. At every base, eyes met without words, all understood that they had just written another page of history that their descendants would tell. On the national stage, Traoré appeared, not in uniform but in a traditional Faso shirt. He spoke slowly, each word engraved deeply. We have held the skies tonight. But freedom is not something that is held once and for all. Each generation must rise up, as we have just done, to protect it from being taken away. None of the millions of Fasanos felt small anymore. Because they know, when a people stand together under the same sky, no enemy can eclipse their sun. If that spirit makes your heart beat faster, please like, comment and subscribe to help this story spread to every corner of the world. Because freedom is not just a right of Faso, it is a right of all of us. Now it is our turn, together, to keep that flame burning. Because when one flame goes out, the whole sky darkens. But when millions of flames flare up, there is no place for darkness.